Now, the Nigerian government Friday said it has reached a ceasefire deal with the Boko Haram sect to halt all confrontations with the Chief of Defense Staff. Air Chief Marshal Alex issuing a directive to the service chiefs of the Army, Navy, Air Force and Inspector General of Police to comply with the ceasefire agreement in all theaters of operations. Barely 24 hours after the ceasefire deal, an attack suspected to have been carried by the sect Saturday left 8 dead. Now, how sincere is this agreement? Joining us to answer this question is Lionel Rawlins. He's a security consultant at American University of Nigeria. It's nice to have you in the studio, Lionel.
In Akwana once again.
In Akwana.
Lafia Kalau.
Lafia Kalau.
All right, nice to have you in the studio.
Today is Hausa Day.
Today it is, well, you know, Bawani. For you.
All right, I am fine. Now, when we talk about, ceasefire, when there's a crisis or there's insurgency attack in a country like Nigeria and something comes up and the other party says, okay, we're laying down our arms, we're not fighting any longer, what could have prompted that?
Well, a lack of trust could have prompted it, and a lack of sincerity. Ceasefire does not work, and that is why they call it a ceasefire. Ceasefire is a temporary end to the fighting. Temporary, keyword is temporary. And it must be an agreement on both sides to suspend the fighting. Again, the keyword is suspend. So temporary and suspend. Those are the keywords. And it does not, it does not work. And for it to work, there must be a sincere desire to bring peace. And most of the times, there's never anything good that comes out of it. And from my perspective, the only good thing that can come out of this is, I should say, a complete and total surrender. If there's not a complete and total surrender, then there's always the possibility for something to happen again. Just like you read in your monologue there that even after the ceasefire was announced, they still went and hurt and killed many people. And you will hear a lot of that happening as well. Therefore, it makes the federal government or the military looks skeptical. It makes people skeptical of whether or not there really and truly was a ceasefire. And also, we have not heard anything from the other side, from the insurgents, whether or not they really truly agreed to it.
But when they said, a representative of the sect came up in Saudi Arabia, met with a government official in Saudi Arabia and they agreed on a ceasefire, how possible could it be that the person representing the Boko Haram sect is really, representing that sect?
This is a very good question, and a lot of people have been questioning that. When you do that ceasefire agreements, if there ever is one, first of all, there is no real true agreement, because I might be negotiating with you, but he might not want it. So you and I have a peace agreement or a ceasefire agreement, but this factor, this sect over there, is not at all a part of it. So he could be out there killing people, still carrying the same name. Also, I might be negotiating with somebody from a different group or a different area, or maybe an imposter, and that has nothing at all to do with the real people who are doing the killings. So these are some of the difficulties that are involved. You have to really know who, if you really truly are dealing with the real people, and if you're not, then it's like throwing money in the wind.
All right, Lionel, let me quickly refer you to what we got from AFP this morning. Danladi Amadu is not part of the Boko Haram Shura, that is the ruling council, or speak of them as part of what he knows. That is, statement is coming from Hamad Salkida. Well, he's a journalist and he's been following the movement. He has a very close contact with the Boko Haram. Now, if the issue of identity is a problem, how then do we trust the issue of a ceasefire from a group that has been terrorizing the northeastern part of Nigeria?
Well, He's a journalist, and first of all, if he knows that this is wrong, he should tell the federal government or the military. If he knows that this man is an imposter, he should also tell them and let them know that this man is an imposter. Whether he told them or not, I don't know. But then the government on the other side, or the military, they have their way of finding out whether or not these people are imposters, and we should at least give them that opportunity to prove to us that what they're doing is the right thing and that they are speaking with the right people. Because if this turned out to be another false alarm and another one of those braggadocio type statements, then really and truly everyone is going to lose faith with the government, or everyone will lose faith with the military. So I can't believe the government or the military will just come up with a statement like that, without taking into consideration all of the things that could go wrong, like speaking with an imposter, or speaking with the wrong people, or speaking with the one who doesn't have any knowledge or clout. I will give the benefit of the doubt to the military and to the government, just to be civil, because they're the ones who are doing it, and we don't know what is being said or what is going on in the background. But I would say let us be skeptical until we see some results. If we see the girls being released anytime soon, and I heard they should be released sometime within the next day or two, if the Chibok girls are released, that is a clear indication that they are onto something good and that they're making some good progress.
Okay, before we talk about terms and conditions, surrounding ceasefire, why Saudi Arabia? Why taking the whole negotiation to that country? Why, meeting between, and the government of that country are not really involved? Issue of, state security like this?
Well, maybe it's a neutral meeting ground for both parties. Maybe the insurgents said, I want to meet in Saudi Arabia because it is our religion and our area and here's where we feel more safe than to do it in Europe or to do it in another African country. And if the government is so inclined to go along with it, then it is a safe and neutral meeting ground. And usually, if you have negotiations, it's in a safe and neutral meeting ground. Now, remember though, the government should never ever call for ceasefire. It is always the enemy who should call for a ceasefire. And that leads us to why I think when you call a ceasefire, it is the only good that comes out of it is that the people who are losing, they take that opportunity to regroup, to rearm, to refinance, to re-strategize, to choose the targets.
They're just buying time for themselves. Exactly,
because they got beaten up pretty badly by the army. And so they probably said, okay, let's call, it's a trick. Everybody in the world knows that. Let's call for ceasefire. Let's get some time to get more men, recruit. Let's buy more weapons. Let's get more money for funding. Let's strategize. Let's train. Let's choose the targets. Let's get the soft targets. Let's rehearse how we're going to attack those targets. It may last a day or two, a week, a month, but this is what they do. Meanwhile, the winning side, it gives you a moment to raise a glass of wine and to cheer and pat yourself on the back.
Also forgetting to re-strategize.
Yes, and that's what happened because you're so consumed with the victory that you too forget to strategize and to reorganize and to reconsolidate, which is the bad guys are doing it and you forget to do it.
Which we could liken to the attacks, recent attack that we had of now, because there was an attack and the military was, this is a break of truce. It's not part of the arrangement. You called for a ceasefire, you should have respected the ceasefire, but rather there was an attack. But with a quick reaction to that, it is blamed on the factionalization of the Boko Haram itself.
That always happens.
It always happens. Now, looking at the international scene itself, let's take it broadly. We've heard of a series of ceasefire scored by different groups in different nations. And one synonymous thing with all of these ceasefires is that it is hardly respected.
No ceasefires ever worked. And the reason for that is because no one respects it. As I said before, the side that is losing, they always do a cost-benefit analysis. If I continue to fight, am I going to win? If they're going to win, then they're not going to call for a ceasefire. If I continue to fight, am I going to lose? Then they will say, okay, let's call for a ceasefire. Because they know they're going to lose, they don't want to lose, so they re-strategize and reorganize.
So isn't the Nigerian government too quick in accepting the ceasefire proposed by the Boko Haram?
Well, maybe they're not too quick. Maybe they have the issue of the Chibok girls to heart, and they want to get the girls back. They want to bring back the girls and to show that they are really working to bring these girls back from captivity wherever they are. Some people say it's political, it's politics as usual. You bring back the girls just before elections and they make you look good. Some people say that that maybe the military is getting better and stronger and
and fighting all head on.
And fighting all head on. So there's a lot of issues on that one.
All right, now when we return from this break, we'll find out from Lionel Rawlins why the Nigerian government should consider, after a series of appeal for the Boko Haram to come to deliberation or the round table to discuss the issue of a ceasefire before now. We'll look at that after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back, and this is Safiya Breakfast show. Still to come on the show later is a discussion on the Chibok girls who are still in captivity 6 months after their adoption. But back here we still have Lionel Rawlins, security consultant, American University of Nigeria. He has been talking to us on the ceasefire agreement between the Nigerian government and the Boko Haram sect. Now, Lionel, I was about bringing up the issue of the government making early proposals to this group. And the group seems not to have kind of said, okay, we need to listen to this government and work with them. But now here we're hearing that they are out and giving us a condition, which is a ceasefire. And when I said, isn't the federal government too quick in accepting this? A lot of Nigerians will want to know, aren't they too quick to accepting a ceasefire coming from a group that never wanted negotiating with them or dialoguing with them?
It's a good question, and everybody is asking that question as well. Now, I will say that, again, coming from my perspective, if you ceasefire does not work. It always end up in you go back to fight. It's like a ceasefire is like, so you're getting a deep cut, a deep stab wound. Someone stabbed you with a knife, and you covered it up with a bandage. What it does, it keeps the flies out for a day, it keeps the dirt out for a day, but deep down inside is a wound that needs to be healed. So a ceasefire does not do much. To me, a total, if the government and if the troops are so doing such a wonderful job. They should pursue these people and accept nothing but a total surrender. A total surrender from the insurgents is what you need, not a ceasefire, because it's going to get them time to regroup again. But when you do a total surrender, then you give them the terms of the agreement, you tell them what you want, and they will have to determine whether or not they want to be a part of this deal. Okay. And whether or not it is too quick, yes, let's wait and see. Let's give them a day or two and see. Like my gauge for this would be if the Chibok girls are returned this week, then we know that the government is onto something good. If the girls are still in captivity after this week, then something is not working.
So it's
right.
an indication that there's something, going wrong. But now, talking about ceasefire and no ceasefire, you have, the two parties coming to a table to say, okay, these are my terms and conditions, these are your terms and conditions, and agreeing with it. But are there standard, terms and conditions that should be on table before any agreement, comes to play?
A ceasefire is just that, temporary stoppage of the fight. And